Let's just get real for a second, because I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I'm here to tell you the truth, and the truth is, sometimes we sabotage our own relationships without even realizing it, not because we're bad people. Not because we're trying to be difficult, but because we've been conditioned, we've been taught, to act in ways that actually push love away. Now, I'm not saying this to blame you, I'm saying it to wake you up. Because if you're frustrated, if you keep attracting emotionally distant men, or if you feel like you're constantly chasing clarity, you need to hear this. There are 5 things that women do over and over again that make guys pull away, lose interest, or shut down. And once you see them clearly, you'll never unsee them. So let's go there, let's talk about it, and let's change it today. Let me paint a picture for you. A guy sends a text, "Hey, I'll call you later," and immediately your mind goes into overdrive. What does later mean? Is he losing interest? Did I say something wrong? Why didn't he add a heart emoji like he did yesterday? And just like that, you're spiraling. You've written an entire breakup script in your head before he's even finished his lunch. Ladies, we have to stop doing this. You already know exactly what I'm talking about. Overanalyzing, reading into everything, replaying every word, every silence, every pause in a conversation. It's not helping you, it's hurting you. And more importantly, it's pushing good men away, because here's the truth, men don't operate like that. They're not sitting around dissecting your tone or decoding your use of punctuation. They're just living. And when they feel like they're walking on eggshells, afraid that anything they say could be misread or misinterpreted, they start pulling back, not because they don't care, but because the energy gets too heavy. Overanalyzing doesn't just affect how you interpret him, it changes how you show up. It creates anxiety, not connection. You stop enjoying the moment because you're too busy trying to predict the future. You're trying to control something that isn't meant to be controlled, and let's be honest, half the time, the stories you build in your head, they're not even real, they're assumptions. You're reacting to fears, not facts. Now let me tell you something powerful. Most men aren't that complicated. If they say they're busy, they're probably just busy. If they say they'll call you later, they probably will, and if they don't. That's data, that's all it is, not a reason to obsess, just a reason to notice and move accordingly. But we get into trouble when we try to force clarity before it's time, when we try to assign meaning where there is none. That's what overanalyzing does. It makes you feel unsafe in your own mind, and that's exhausting for you, not just for him. You want peace. You want real confidence. You want a healthy relationship with someone who actually feels good to be around. Then trust this, if something doesn't feel right, you'll know. You don't have to dig for red flags when your intuition is working just fine, but intuition is quiet, anxiety is loud, overthinking is loud. That voice in your head that keeps saying, maybe he meant this, or why didn't he say that, that's not your intuition. That's fear, that's insecurity, and you get to take your power back from that. Men want to feel relaxed around the woman they're with. They want to feel trusted. They want to feel like they're with someone who takes them at their word. If you start playing detective in your own relationship, you're going to create a case that didn't exist in the first place. And trust me, nobody wants to be interrogated just for being human. So the next time you catch yourself spiraling, pause, breathe, choose a different story. Ask instead, what if everything is actually okay? Because maybe. It is. Stop creating chaos out of silence. Stop turning pauses into problems. You don't have to figure everything out today. And you don't have to earn love by always being 3 steps ahead. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is let things unfold without needing to control them. That's what confidence looks like, that's what calm feels like, and that's when the right man, not the perfect one, but the right one, gets to experience the best version of you. You want to know one of the fastest ways to lose a good guy? Start playing games, start sending mixed signals, start punishing him with silence instead of using your voice, start testing him instead of trusting him, and suddenly, what could have been a strong, honest connection turns into confusion and emotional exhaustion. Let me break this down. Playing games doesn't make you powerful. It makes you look scared. It screams insecurity, and it tells a man loud and clear that you're not actually ready for real love, because real love requires real communication. It requires honesty, not manipulation. But so many women have been taught that withholding attention or pretending not to care somehow gives them the upper hand. No, it doesn't. It creates distance. It breeds resentment. And it teaches a man that he can't win with you no matter what he does. Here's what happens. He says something that annoys you, and instead of just telling him, you punish him by going cold, or you want him to call, but instead of asking directly, you post something online hoping he'll notice. You want him to chase you, so you delay your replies. You pretend to be busy. You act like you're unbothered, and what starts as a minor misunderstanding turns into a power struggle. Let me ask you something. Do you want a relationship, or do you want a game? Because you can't have both. Games are about control, real relationships are about connection, and connection only happens when you show up as yourself. Your full, honest, imperfect self. Playing hard to get might get his attention, but it won't keep his respect. That only comes when you're willing to have the hard conversations, when you're willing to say, hey, that bothered me, or I'd love to hear from you more, or I'm feeling disconnected. Can we talk? Do you know how refreshing that kind of honesty is for a man who's used to guessing what's wrong? Who's used to women making him jump through emotional hoops just to prove he cares? That level of honesty, that's magnetic, that's powerful, and that's what makes a man want to lean in, not walk away. I'm not saying you should tolerate bad behavior or lower your standards, not at all. But when something's off, you don't need to withdraw and wait for him to figure it out. That's not a test, it's a trap. And it's not fair. Emotional maturity means giving someone the chance to show up before you judge them for not doing it. It means saying what you need, not hoping they read your mind. Because here's what guys hate: feeling like they're in a relationship where nothing they do is ever right. Where every move is a test, every word is analyzed, and every mistake is punished with distance or drama. That doesn't feel like love, that feels like work, and eventually, even a good man will walk away from that. So if you're tempted to play games, don't. Use your voice, speak your truth. Let the right man meet the real you, not the performance version of you. You don't need to fake indifference to protect yourself. You don't need to manipulate your way into feeling loved. Love that has to be tricked into staying was never real in the first place. Say what you mean what you say. And if someone doesn't respond well to honesty, that's not your problem. It's your clarity. Because the man who's emotionally available, the man who wants something real, he doesn't want games. He wants a grown woman who knows how to express herself. Be that woman. You're not his mother. You're not his therapist. And you're definitely not his life coach, so stop trying to change him, because the second you step into a relationship thinking, well, he'd be perfect if he just, you've already missed the point. He's not a fixer-upper. He's a grown man, and trying to mold him into your version of ideal doesn't just disrespect him. It exhausts you. Let's be real, we've all done it. You meet a guy, and the chemistry is great. But then you start noticing things. He's not ambitious enough. He's a little too quiet. He doesn't dress the way you wish he would. And instead of deciding whether you actually accept him as he is, you start creating a mental checklist of improvements. You think, give me 6 months, and I'll have him dressing better, eating cleaner, communicating more, and maybe even going to therapy. But here's the truth. When you enter a relationship trying to change someone, what you're really saying is, who you are right now isn't good enough for me. And no one wants to feel like they're constantly being measured, corrected, or upgraded. That kind of energy doesn't feel like love, it feels like criticism. Constantly being told how to improve eventually makes a man shut down. And when a man feels like he can't be himself around you, he starts to resent the relationship. You want to know why trying to change a man backfires? Because even if he does adjust for you, he's not doing it for himself. And that means it won't stick. It's like forcing someone to wear a suit that doesn't fit. It might look good in a photo, but eventually he's going to want to rip it off and breathe again. Real change has to come from within. And if you can't accept someone as they are right now, don't date their potential. Don't date who you hope they'll become. That's not fair to him, and it's setting you up for disappointment. I'm not saying you can't grow together. You absolutely should. Healthy relationships do challenge each person to evolve, but there's a massive difference between inspiring growth and demanding change. One comes from love, the other comes from control. And control kills connection every single time. So what do you do instead? You get honest with yourself. Ask, if he never changed, would I still want to be with him? If the answer is no, walk away. Not because he's a bad person, but because it's not your job to shape him into what you think a partner should be. And if the answer is yes, then love him fully, appreciate who he is, celebrate his strengths instead of focusing on his flaws. Because no one wants to feel like they're constantly auditioning for affection. And let me say this loud and clear. You deserve someone who wants to grow for themselves, not someone you have to drag toward growth. You don't need to parent a man. You don't need to rescue one either. Your job is to be a partner, not a project manager. And the more you embrace that, the more peace you'll feel. You'll stop trying to force alignment, and you'll start noticing whether alignment is even there in the first place. So let go of the fantasy, let go of the blueprint. If you can't love him as he is, then set both of you free, because the right relationship doesn't start with control, it starts with choice. And when a man feels chosen, not criticized, that's when he'll rise. That's when he'll show up as the best version of himself. Not because you made him, but because he wants to. That's real love. Let's get one thing straight. Control is not confidence, and trying to control a man doesn't make you powerful. It makes you scared. But here's the kicker. Most of the time, you don't even realize that's what's happening. You think you're being careful, protective, just making sure. But underneath all that monitoring, checking, questioning, and micromanaging is one thing: insecurity. It sounds like this. Why didn't you answer my text right away? Or who's that girl who liked your photo? It looks like going through his phone, tracking his location, needing constant updates, needing reassurance over and over again. Not because he's doing anything wrong, but because you're afraid of being hurt. Afraid of being abandoned, afraid that if you don't stay on top of everything, you'll lose him. So you try to control what he does, who he talks to, how he moves, and you tell yourself it's love, but it's not. It's fear, and fear disguised as love doesn't feel like love. It feels like pressure. And do you know what happens when a man feels constantly watched, questioned, or doubted? He starts to feel like he can't breathe. Like no matter how honest or loyal he is, you still don't trust him, and that's exhausting, because men, just like women, want to feel safe in a relationship. They want to feel like they can be themselves, not like they're on trial every day. If he feels like you're always bracing for him to mess up, eventually he'll stop trying to prove you wrong. He'll just give up, not because he doesn't care, but because he's tired of fighting your fears. Now, let's be real. If your gut is screaming that something's wrong, listen to it. But don't confuse your anxiety with your instincts. One is a whisper that speaks truth. The other is a siren that screams worst case scenarios. And when you let insecurity drive the car, it always crashes your peace. Control is a response to pain. Maybe someone cheated on you. Maybe someone ghosted you. Maybe someone made you feel like you weren't enough. And now you're trying to stop that from happening again by watching everything, questioning everything, managing every little detail. But what you're really doing is handing your past the keys to your present. You're not protecting your heart. You're locking it in a cage. You cannot build a healthy relationship on the foundation of control. You build it on trust, vulnerability, and emotional maturity. And trust doesn't mean ignoring red flags. It means not punishing someone for mistakes they haven't made. It means giving them space to be who they are while giving yourself the strength to walk away if they show you they don't deserve you. So if you recognize yourself in this, here's the hard truth. Your need to control isn't about him. It's about you. It's about healing the parts of you that still think love means pain, that still believe people leave unless you hold on tight, that still confuse closeness with control. But you're not that powerless little girl anymore. You don't need to micromanage love to feel safe. You just need to choose better, and choosing better starts with choosing yourself first. Let go of the grip, take a breath, trust that what's meant for you won't need surveillance to stay. And if someone's actions ever make you feel unsafe, don't try to change them. Change your environment. You're allowed to leave what doesn't feel good, but you're also allowed to stay when love feels easy, when it feels calm, when it feels free. Because that's the kind of love that grows, not under pressure, but under peace. You want to know something that slowly kills a man's desire to show up in a relationship, feeling like nothing he does is ever good enough, feeling invisible, feeling like he's constantly giving, trying, supporting. But it's just expected, not acknowledged. That is the silent killer of connection. It's not the big fights that end relationships. It's the slow erosion that happens when appreciation disappears. Here's what most women don't realize. Men need to feel valued, not just needed, not just tolerated, valued. And no, this doesn't mean babying him or feeding his ego. It means recognizing effort. It means noticing the little things. It means saying, "Hey, I saw what you did, and I appreciate it." Because let me tell you something, men won't always say they need that. They're not walking around begging for praise, but when it's not there, they feel it deeply, and over time it changes how they show up. That guy who used to open doors, plan dates, send cute texts, he starts pulling back, not because he stopped caring, but because he started feeling like it didn't matter. Like none of it moved you, like he was just going through the motions for someone who didn't see him anymore. And this isn't about being fake or giving out praise just to keep the peace. This is about being present, about not taking consistency for granted. It's about realizing that just because he's strong or silent or emotionally contained doesn't mean he doesn't crave recognition. Men feel love through action, but they also need to be seen for those actions. You thank your friends, you compliment your coworkers, but when's the last time you genuinely said thank you to the man in your life, not just for the big things, but for the everyday, boring, adult stuff? For showing up, for calling when he said he would, for handling something without being asked, for supporting you when you were overwhelmed. If you're thinking, well, that's what he's supposed to do, you're missing the point. Yes, those may be baseline behaviors, but acknowledgement isn't about rewarding bare minimums. It's about nurturing connection. It's about reinforcing what you want more of. You want a man to keep investing in you. Show him that what he does matters. You don't have to worship him. Just notice, just speak up. Say, "Thank you for making time for me today. It means a lot." Or, "I see how hard you've been working. I appreciate you." Those two sentences could completely reset the emotional temperature in your relationship. Because when a man feels appreciated, he gives more, he opens up more, he feels safe to go all in. But when he feels like nothing he does is ever enough, he shuts down, not in a dramatic storm out, the door kind of way. It's subtle. He stops texting first, stops planning things, starts keeping things to himself, and then you're sitting there wondering why everything feels cold. And this is why. Because every man has a point where he stops giving energy to a place that feels thankless. So if you love him, show it with your words, with your presence, with your appreciation, and if you can't, ask yourself why you're still there. Because the best relationships are built on mutual respect and mutual recognition. When both people feel seen, heard, and valued, that's when love thrives, that's when connection deepens. That's when a man turns from someone who's there into someone who's invested. And that kind of love, that starts with one thing, appreciation. So don't wait, speak it, show it, let him feel it. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say isn't "I love you," it's "I see you."